Hey, Mike, John Moeller here with Get on the Track. Just going to review the data from the session that we had with the Porsche delivery experience, Porsche of Austin delivery experience event that we did at COTA. Just going to walk through the data with you and give you an idea of where we can gain some speed, what we were seeing in the data, and just kind of a quick overview of where you can get some gains when you get out to COTA next time. Just to walk through, if you haven't seen anything like this before, I pulled up a few different indicators, basically variables, measurements that the data logger is pulling for us. So I've got the RPM here, I've got the steering angle sensor, just kind of curious to see what's happening there. I've got the acceleration position, or the accelerator position sensor. This is different than the actual throttle position sensor. This gives us a good idea of what's happening at your foot. I believe the throttle position sensor is adjusted by the traction control on the car. So if the traction control is set up to be relatively invasive, the difference between the accelerator position sensor and the throttle position sensor actually can be relatively significant. So I'm more interested in where your foot is versus what the car is actually doing. Then we've got GPS speed. Obviously, we want to know how fast we're going. And finally, I'm grabbing the GPS lateral acceleration. I might throw the longitudinal acceleration in here as well, just to kind of demonstrate what's happening with your braking. There's a few things in here that I think you might be able to improve with your braking. But that said, we're going to do a quick pass through. I've got 2 of your laps up. It looks like we did a quick 3-lap session towards the end of the day. I think that was just before you'd run out of gas. And you had a 244, or maybe that's when you came back with gas. I don't recall, but you had a 244.04 and a 244.320. I think both of those are pretty solid lap times, given the car was new to you, and I don't think you had been out for a while, if I recall correctly. So that said, we'll go ahead and dive in and start taking a look at what the data is showing us through here. So we're going to start out coming across start finish line. That's where the data logger tracks the lap, sets the start point for the new lap. Rolling through here, we can see the drop off here of we see the drop off of the accelerator, the throttle position sensor. I am going to jump in and grab your longitudinal acceleration. The reason for this is I want to GPS lawn and second acceleration. The reason for this is I want to just kind of demonstrate here what's going on with your braking. I want to find some more confidence with the braking here. I think that specifically on the second lap, the green lap, which was the 244.04, your brake pressure, I want to see this almost reversed. So I want to see you go hard into the brakes early and then start to release a little bit more gradually as we come through. If you notice here, the angle of this drop off in speed, it's not quite as aggressive as I'd like to see going into turn 1. We have a ton of gravity heading into turn 1 that'll slow us down. Pushing that brake point and also using those brakes more aggressively will allow you to carry a little bit more speed coming down that back straight for a little bit longer. That'll have a sizable impact on lap times. You are getting going pretty fast through there. It looks like 129 on your fast lap. That's moving along. That's really carrying some good speed there. But you could actually go a little bit longer, a little bit harder, and then bleed that speed quickly off down to here. I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm going to pull the steering angle sensor. I didn't see anything really dramatic in your steering. One thing that I tend to look for, and I'll see if we can zoom in a little bit. I tend to look for the I tend to look for where the steering angle sensor, where the steering starts to dial in versus where the accelerator position is, and also if we had the brake pressure sensor, we could figure that out as well. I would argue maybe you're going to the gas a little bit early here, but it's not too bad. The reason I'm saying that is your steering angle maxes out right here, and you're already dialing in some gas before the steering angle maxes out. So you may want to consider just holding off on that gas for a brief moment longer. From there, we're coming down here, and steering angle is relatively consistent through here, seeing some throttle through here. What I would like to see, this is coming through turn 2 at the bottom of the hill. I would like to see that throttle position ramping up a little bit. If you notice through here, I'm looking at your GPS lateral acceleration. It looks like I saw it spike out at about 1.18. That's very, very high. But I think you may actually be able to get a little bit more grip there and carry a little bit more speed there under throttle, because the car is compressing as you come down that hill. So I think you could probably actually carry more throttle into here, and definitely as the lateral acceleration starts to drop off here and you get a little bit of time here, that's a great place to carry a bit more speed and carry a bit more throttle. So push the throttle down as you are coming towards that bridge. So be more aggressive with that throttle, which in turn means you're going to have to brake a little bit more for turn 3, which is, I'll show you on the map coming up. Boom. So if you look on the map on this left side here, this is the entry to turn 3. So here is where we may actually have to get the car, try to get the car turned and then get it into a straight line, and then give us a little bit of braking. The braking would occur basically once you get a little bit of a straight line on the left-hand curbing, that red and white strip on the left-hand curbing heading into turn 3. So that's immediately after you come under the bridge. I want to see you bend that car to the left, get to the curbing on the left-hand side, and set up for a nice straight line through the S's. So you're going to need to brake as you're coming towards that curbing with the car relatively straight. And then you're going to make that turn a little bit later, so that you can get a nice straight line through those S's and actually get on the gas going through those S's. So we're actually going to see this here coming through here. You're kind of coasting through here. If you look at the throttle, it's about 18-20%, and then we're actually backing off here, which I can see that's a turn into turn 3. I can see relatively low throttle there, but I definitely want to see a little bit of blip on that throttle and some acceleration as we head into that turn, coming straight into, this is going to be considered turn 4, if I think about it, 3, 4, actually 5, I'm sorry, 6, 7, that makes sense. I'm sorry, turn 5, between 4 of the S, which is the right hander in the S, and 5, which is that left hander. I want you to carry a little bit more throttle, get on the gas a little bit more, and then you can actually use the brake to slow the car down to get it to rotate to enter into turn 6. All right. With that said, just kind of taking a look here. Again, so get that car rotated. I'm going to reset there we go. I'm just going to reset this. As we're coming through here, we're seeing nice smooth cornering coming through turn 6. I've got to orient myself. Turn 6 is that long hand sweeper, the long right hand sweeper, where we let the track out to the middle of the track and then bring it back to set up for left, for that left-hander 7. We could carry a little bit more speed through here. I'm looking at the GPS, the lateral acceleration. We're looking at 0.94. You could definitely get higher into there, which is part of, you could carry more throttle into there as well. So just kind of a point there where you could push a little bit harder. Coming through turn 7, seeing a fair amount of grip generated there with 1.11. You also have a little bit of elevation change, which helps you come through there. What I like to see, I'm seeing relatively aggressive throttle through there, which is good. We want the throttle to push as we want the throttle engaged. We want to be on the throttle as we come up that slight hill leading into turn 8. So definitely give it a nice little jab of that throttle as we come up to turn 8, get straight, and then get some braking done, which we'll see on the speed as it drops off. We see the speed drop down to about 46 miles an hour as we come through that right-hander at the top as we crest that hill a little bit. And then we see the speed start to gain as we come through turn 9. That's awesome. One thing I want to call out right here is we can see some hesitation in the throttle here. You're only at like 50% or 70%. I want this line to be almost 100% or 100% as we come over turn 10. That's something that you need to build the confidence to get up to. It's definitely a little bit unnerving coming over 10 because it is blind. Obviously, you can't see the pavement in front of you, but 10 is a place where if you carry throttle exiting 9 and carry that throttle and are on that throttle hard all the way through 10, you get the benefit of turning this entire section from 9 to 11 into almost a straightaway. Again, if you recall correctly, as we exit 9 coming up that hill, what I have you looking for is the brake marker, that 250 signboard that's on the outside there. And when you see that 250 signboard, that's a good point to start coming back across the track from the right side, bending that car in, and then just continue to angle the car towards the successive brake markers. So look for that 250 board, and then look for the 200, and then the 100 and the 50, and bend that car all the way through that corner as you're coming through here. Having those eyes up and looking forward will give you more confidence to hold that throttle down coming through there. Big thing is honestly, you don't want to lift out of the throttle when you come over that hill, because that can cause the car to rotate on you, cause the weight to shift forward. But overall, that's one place where you could gain a lot of time on this lap. I'm seeing the shift here. The one thing I'd recommend, I understand it's a new car, and you're probably a little worried about it, but I would start to utilize those revs a little bit more. This was a short shift here, and I'm assuming that was to 4th. Looking at 111 miles an hour, I'm assuming that was a shift to 4th. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the case. I actually would have held the gear a little bit longer up over the rise. Your shift point was shortly after that turn. I'd stay in it a little bit longer and let that engine really run and generate that power, which it does at the upper RPMs with that car. Here we see the accelerator drop again, little bit less hesitation on that, on dropping off that acceleration. This is kind of like you're bleeding throttle out rather than just holding it open until it's time to go to those brakes. Again, if I take a look here, looking at the longitudinal acceleration, it's pretty good, pretty high here. I want to see a slightly more aggressive application of those brakes here. You can kind of see like here with this green line, that's more of what I want to see versus this, which seems to be a little bit of trailing braking as opposed to really getting aggressive after those brakes. That's going to allow you to push those braking points a little bit further and get more lap time, get better lap time out of that car. Coming through here, we're seeing pretty good lateral acceleration. I'm seeing over a G there. That's pretty good coming through turn 11. Definitely good stuff there. We see again here, we see the accelerator start to go down as you start dialing back on that steering angle. All good there. And then it's hard acceleration going down that back straightaway. Again, it looks here. I like your shift points here. You're letting that run a little bit more. You can even go a little bit closer to that red line in order to just get the gains of the upper end power of that car. Watching that go up, we're seeing looks like we're topping out in the 145, 146 range. 147, almost 150. That's really solid for that back that straightaway, that the back straight. Very good speed there. Again, I want to call out, right? I'm seeing this kind of bleed down. I want to see more aggressive braking here, especially from such a high speed. When the car is at a high rate of speed, you're actually generating some downforce out of that car, which means you can go to the brakes even harder. So if we see it's kind of a soft ramp up here to the braking, we are seeing hard braking at the end of it, though, at that 1.2 G range. So that is good, but I'd like to see that brake application come in a little bit harder. And then the braking naturally kind of dials off as you're trying to find that entry speed going into that turn 12. So pretty good stuff there. Seeing the throttle engage. I like seeing good acceleration coming through here. You likely could have held that gear a little bit longer here. This is coming into 12. So I think honestly, I think that was probably a downshift into second. I would have held second a little bit longer and let it run in order to be able to get yeah, that's interesting. I would have held second a little bit longer here and really use those RPMs. You may need to upshift as you start to head into 13. That right hander, you might have to grab an upshift in order to avoid hitting the limiter, but I would definitely push those RPMs. I mean, right here, you're at 69.75. You've got another 1,000 RPM to go. So I would probably let that car run there. I'm not sure if we may have run into traffic here, just seeing how this is coming along, but that's interesting. Okay, so now we're heading into 13. Carrying. It's interesting here. You're definitely a gear. It looks like you're a gear down on your second lap. I'd encourage you to stay a gear higher so that you can use the potential of that energy. I like seeing this right here. And what I'm referring to here is you're getting that throttle down as we run that quick straightaway between 13 and 14. And actually this is 12, 13. I am a little bit interested here. 12, 13. I think they must call this 13 and 14 into 15 because 16, 17, 18. So I think they call this sweeper 14, 15. Regardless, what I'm seeing here is or 13, 14 rather. What I'm seeing here between 14 and 15 is a nice application of the throttle. You can actually carry that throttle application a little bit longer and hold that down. And I'd like to see that get up to 100% so that you're really accelerating using that short straight. And then, of course, you're going to have to use the brakes hard in order to give that up to make that turn for 15. So 15, looking good through there. Just kind of taking a look at your steering angle maxes out there, and then we start seeing the throttle bleed on after the steering angle. All good stuff there. And again, I almost wonder if this was a little bit of a cool down because we definitely could be using more RPM than 5,000 here, especially leading onto that straightaway into that 16, 17, 18 complex. Coming through 16, 17, 18, what I want to call out is I want to call out your entry into that. You're actually it's a little bit jagged here in terms of if you watch the way your longitudinal acceleration builds. I want to take a look at the steering angle as well. This steering angle, I want that to be a little bit smoother. Let's take a look at your entry speed as well, 69, 68. I feel like if you're smoother through here, you could come through here, you could come through and get some pretty good, you could, if you were smoother through here, you could actually carry slightly better speed, entering, that 16, 17, 18. But the nice part is you are gaining speed consistently through there. What I'm looking at specifically, right, is we've got a spike in the number of G's that are created as you initiate that turn. And then here it's kind of falling off. Like if I'm looking, you aren't quite carrying as much speed as you could. I'm only seeing, I mean, there is coming up to 1 G, but you can actually generate a little bit more speed through there and be more consistent there. The way we want to do that is we set those hands in a constant position as we come through that 16, 17, 18. So get that steering wheel set and then use the throttle to really drive that car through there and feel those right rear or that left rear tire load as you're driving through there. Overall, good stuff coming through. One thing I'll be honest is really impressive is taking a look at the G's that you're carrying through turn 19. I mean, I'm seeing 1.16. You're carrying really good speed through there. 64, 66 miles an hour. That's excellent. That's a tricky corner because it is relatively blind, but get that vision down there. And then even here, I'm really liking to see you're getting that throttle all the way down as you come through here. So using that straightaway going into 20, and then coming through here, again, getting good solid braking here. Could probably use a little bit more braking. Like we're seeing it max out at 0.91. We want to see that going up over a G. We want to definitely carry that braking a little bit later and definitely maximize the speed that we can get on that run. And then exiting here, seeing a minimum speed in turn 20 of around 37:42. That's just the difference between the two laps. 37 and 42 is the two. See that steering angle dialed in, and then again, getting a little bit. I'm still seeing kind of short shifting where we're not carrying that car to red line to really get the speed out of it that we can. But overall, solid performance. Definitely enjoyed working with you. Hope this is helpful for you. If you have any questions regarding this, feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call and we can go from there. But overall, nice work here, Mike.